10 years ago, the Love family took a trip to Myanmar, Burma, for the first time. It was a chance meeting with a friendly nurse who spoke absolutely no English that changed the course of their life and started the charity, the Mandalay Project. It started with helping out an aged care home. It's ended up focusing on preventing the trafficking of children into the worst form of labour. Ian Love is the chair and founder. He's with us in the studio. And Lucy Henry is the director of the charity, both with us. Good morning to you both.
Morning, James.
Let's start with you, Ian, and start with the story that changed your life, that little holiday, that innocent little holiday, a nice relaxing time, go somewhere different. You ended up obviously in some remote part of Myanmar, and your life took a turn, didn't it?
Yes, I mean, bizarrely, we were ended up in a aged persons facility and walking through that, and this lovely nurse came out, and she's one of these people that had a smile that can light a room. And she didn't speak any English, but we took a photo of her outside her medical clinic. She wrote her address down. We sent a photo to her when we got back. And then about 3 months later, we got this letter from her, which was very carefully written, not great grammar. And I just couldn't bin it. I just thought, we could help this lady. I wonder what her story is, and I wonder what she needs.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, we found out that she earns $5 a month. She was in charge of 70 elderly people, all of whom the people in the home are basically what they call reverse orphans, which means they don't have children. Otherwise, they would be living with their children.
Right.
And we thought, and she's the only nurse on duty 24/7. And we thought, well, the best way to help someone like that is probably to help the people that she's helping.
Yeah.
And what do elderly people want? Well, their bed's their kingdom. And there's nothing like getting into a bed with fresh sheets, pillowcases, mattresses, etc. So we said, that's it, that's what we'll do. We had our story, we had our inspirational leader and our project. We raised the money, we went back there the next year, made the beds, had a wonderful, wonderful experience. And then the next day I said to the guys who were with us, I said, look, let's go and visit an orphanage. I'd never been to an orphanage in my life. No idea what to expect. And it was what happened, we bought them lunch and had a fantastic time, and then just said, look, what do you guys need? And at the girls' orphanage, they said they needed a tailoring workshop, 10 sewing machines, teachers' salaries for 2 years, scissors, materials, the whole, everything, about $10,000. And we thought, well, we can do that. So we went back, we raised the $10,000, and then the next year came back and the tailoring workshop was there. I'm wearing a shirt that they've made. One of the girls actually left the orphanage and set up in the market, set up a shop, and now she's independent. So since then, we've basically just been going back every year. Over 10 years, we've probably helped in 8 different sites. We've probably done 50 or 60 different projects and helped 5,000 children.
It's amazing. It is amazing. I love the story simply because it is incredibly simple. It's just a simple case of how can we help? Most people would say, here's some money. Why didn't you do that?
Oh, look, we wanted to. I mean, we in some ways we kind of did it for a bit of a selfish reason. I mean, it's great going and meeting new people. We've met tons and tons of new people through this process. You go to an interesting place and have a great adventure, actually, and you come away inspired. I mean, I originally thought you'd think you'd go to an orphanage and you'd come away feeling all down and depressed and the poor kids, etc. It's actually the opposite. Certainly, and that's been my experience. You come away really inspired, and so we get a lot of pleasure out of it. But if you haven't got the time and you've got the money, you're welcome to give money as well.
You can still help that way. Okay, let's talk to Lucy. I mean, Lucy, you're a director of the charity, and you've been personally involved. You've been on a couple of trips. Is it very much like Ian described? Is it one of those cases where you arrive there, you see the people, you can't help but being sort of infected by it?
I guess it is. I think one of the things that inspired me about Ian's story was that, Ian's a nice guy, but he's no saint. And I thought, well, if he can do something, a little thing that then leads on to another little thing, well, we can all do something that will make a difference over the longer term. So I went first time April last year, been back again this year. The children really are very humbling, they greet you like a long-lost friend. They're very welcoming, smiling, and you see that they really have nothing, and that's actually quite sobering.
Yeah, and when we say nothing, it really is nothing, isn't it?
It really is nothing. The orphanage we went to this time in the Chin Hills, I took a small amount of money with me from Perth. I wanted to, I raised some money from friends and relatives. I wanted to buy them blankets because it's quite cool up there.
Yeah.
So I took $1,800, bought the blankets, no problem, had money left, bought a big bag of vitamins, medicines for them for 6 months or so, still had money. Took the older girls shopping, still had money. And we funded a 12-month horticulture program there.
Wow.
So they can grow vegetables on site. They've got land there that's quite fertile, which will make a difference to the nutrition of those children.
Yeah, and isn't it amazing how far the money goes? Not normally like a shopping spree in Perth.
No.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the money went a really long way, which was quite exciting. And what we're doing now in that orphanage is putting in a long-term clean water supply from a local creek, which will make a really big difference to the lives of the children at that site.
I think this is the beauty of this whole story, is the fact that you're doing it on so little. And people expect, well, you've got to be raising millions before you make a difference. You're talking about thousands, hundreds that can turn their lives around.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, we've one of our favourite sayings is we don't try and boil the ocean on this issue. I mean, when you start looking at human trafficking and you see the statistics and numbers, it's horrifying.
Yes.
And it can become quite depressing. But what we try and do is just focus on bite-sized chunk projects, don't cost a lot of money. They all have a very clean beginning and a very clean end.
Yeah.
And you know, we take satisfaction from what we do. We don't get sort of all bent out of shape because we can't solve the whole problem.
Yeah.
We just get on and do what we can and take satisfaction from that.
You talked about that human trafficking side of things. Tell us how you got involved with that again. That was a sort of an innocent encounter, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we always go into these orphanages and ask the managers essentially what they need, because you know, we don't pose on them what our idea of what they need is. And it's always through translators. And I remember one meeting, we're going backwards and forwards, and the monk that was running the orphanage said he wanted to put bars on the windows, and we just felt that was a bit odd. We sort of probed a little bit about that, and kids going missing, and we thought, you know, why are they going missing? They're running away or whatever. Anyway, eventually we found out that the story was that the children would have the keys to the bars and they'd lock themselves in at night, because children were going missing because they were getting stolen and trafficked into all sorts of horrible situations. Then so I basically started to read about it, and we got more serious at that point. And you know, the International Labour Organisation of Convention 182 talks about the worst forms of child labour. I would have thought any form of child labour is bad, but in order to get nations to sign up to some sort of convention, you have to define the worst forms. So I read about that, and I thought, you know what, I can't live on planet Earth now without doing something about this. There are 168 million children that are in one of the worst forms of child labour. The worst forms being armed service, illegal activities, dangerous jobs that can't be made safe, and pornography and prostitution. And once you start reading about this, you've got to do something about it. Again, we still don't try and boil the ocean on it. We just do what we do. And our mission statement's really to help prevent, and we work on the prevention side.
You talked about how you get involved and then you move on to the next. Do you not want to stay with some of these projects you're involved with?
Look, we go back from time to time, just you know, for visits and buy lunch and see the people. But we actually try to not get involved in too much detail, because we don't want to we don't want them to be dependent on us.
Right.
But also we don't want to have a dependency. Like, we're hoping this will go on forever, but the way it started was a family holiday, and it may end. One day we might say, you know, we're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, of course.
And we don't want to have that responsibility that we've got some dependency out there, and we don't want to make them dependent. So it's sort of you got to. We like to be a little one step removed from getting into details of how it's managed.
Okay, that's interesting as well, Lucy. And you know, you were, I'm not saying roped in at all. You went of your own accord, but there is often that case when you know someone who's involved in a charity, you feel almost like, well, I better do something, I better do something to keep him quiet. You didn't feel that. And as a result of going, you've obviously spread the word, and I know that, I've been picking up your emails on this as well, and it's obviously one of those things that people are resonating with.
I think what a lot of people don't realise is actually how much fun it is to help other people. It's kind of, you might go in with the sense of, oh, God should do something. But, when you see the faces of the kids and you walk away and think, what we've done there is going to make a real difference to the lives of those children, that's really very satisfying. And it actually makes you appreciate more of what you've got by giving them a little thing that, takes a little bit of time and a bit of energy but really is a lot of fun.
I'm interested in how, as human beings, you can almost be slightly detached from it. Both Ian, Lucy, just hearing you saying you can go, you can do your bit, you can walk away, and then you can go to another place. There would be others, I'm sure, who would go and would find it very hard to just even walk away from that orphanage or that centre.
Oh, yeah, I cry.
God, James, we didn't say we didn't walk away without any tears.
Okay. That's better.
I mean, there's always everyone gets back on the bus and we've all, we've got our sunglasses on and we're all a bit quiet and trying to be tough it out. But no, it's pretty emotional stuff. I mean, it's fantastic. It really is. It just gives me goosebumps thinking about it now. It's really great.
And we've had so many people telling similar stories here in this studio. People who have, found a cause, some people that they can make a difference with. And I'll always ask this. There are lots of people who would listen to this and say, that's for other people to do. And then suddenly something makes them change. What is it normally? Is it an encounter? Is it sort of coming up, meeting someone like you? What is it?
I think it's all of the above, really. I think it can be family holiday or...
Some people watch something on television news and say, that's it, I'm off to Africa or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I guess I think sometimes it's easy to feel overwhelmed, there's so many problems in the world, but I think sometimes you just make a little step, just do one little thing, just a $5 donation, just look something up on the internet, and from there you never know where things will go. I don't think you have to...
$5 is, what, a month's salary?
Well, exactly. It's a month's salary, a cup of coffee, in Perth. And we start... when we didn't know where to start, so we just started, basically. And actually now, you know what? We don't know where to stop.
Well, isn't that great?
And that's our story.
That's a pretty good story.
And we love it.
It's lovely to hear it. If people want to find out a bit more about it, you have a website?
We have a website. We have a Facebook page. And, we'd love to hear from anybody. Drop us an email. We're a very open organisation and we talk to everyone, and we'd love to hear from anybody who wants to get involved or hear a bit more about it. Yeah.
So the web address is themandalayprojects.net.
Correct.
Mandalay Project, plural or singular? Projects.org. Did you say?
Net.
.net. Sorry, my hearing's clear and go. Thanks so much for coming in. Really good to hear from both of you.
Pleasure, James.
Ian
Thanks,
Love,
James.
the founder and chair of the Mandalay Project, and also Lucy Henry, the director.